So here the kings are asking what is the best of the sensual pleasures. And the Buddha said it is difficult to say in the sense that different people have different tastes. For example, forms. Some people think certain woman is the prettiest in the world. Another guy may not think so. But if that person is satisfied with that particular form, then for him that's the best. He doesn't look for any other. Similarly with sounds, odors, taste and touch. Then this Chandan Angalika praised the Buddha. The Buddha is sometimes called Angirasa, the kinsman of the sun. So because the Buddha is an enlightened person, he's often in deep meditation. So if you look at the Buddha, often he will be like looking quite bright. So when this layman praised the Buddha, then the king agreed, the 5 kings agreed, and they presented their upper robe, all of them, to this layman. And this layman took all the robes and presented it to the Buddha. 3.13 at Savatthi. Now on that occasion, King Pasenadi of Kosala had eaten a bucket measure of rice and curries. Then while still full, huffing and puffing, the king approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. Then the Blessed One, having understood that King Pasenadi was full and was huffing and puffing, on that occasion recited this verse: when a man is always mindful, knowing moderation in the food he eats, his ailments then diminish. He ages slowly, guarding his life. Now on that occasion, the Brahmin youth Sudarsana was standing behind King Pasenadi of Kosala. The king then addressed him thus: "Come now, dear Sudarsana, learn this verse from the Blessed One and recite it to me whenever I am taking my meal. I will then present you daily with 100 kahapanas as a perpetual grant." Let's stop here for a moment. This here, it says the Brahmin youth Sudarsana, but in the earlier translation by the Pali Text Society, they refer to him as the Prince Sudarsana. And I think according to the commentaries, this young man Sudarsana was a nephew of the King Pasenadi. So King Pasenadi, he has been enjoying his food so much, he must have been round and fat. So he asked this young man to remind him each time he take his food not to eat so much. He said give him 100 kahapanas. A kahapana is a measure of money, just like now US dollar or ringgit or something. Yes, sire, the Brahmin youth Sudarsana replied, having learned this verse from the Blessed One, whenever King Pasenadi was taking his meal, the Brahmin youth recited, when a man is always mindful, knowing moderation in the food he eats, his ailments then diminish. He ages slowly, guarding his life. Then King Pasenadi of Kosala gradually reduced his intake of food to at most a pine pot measure of boiled rice. At a later time, when his body had become quite slim, King Pasenadi of Kosala stroked his limbs with his hand, and on that occasion uttered this inspired utterance: "The Blessed One showed compassion towards me in regard to both kinds of good, the good pertaining to the present life and that pertaining to the future life." That's the end of the sutta. So here you see the Buddha is called the greatest doctor, greatest physician in the world, both for our mental sickness and also for our physical. So here the Buddha advised him, if you eat a lot, then you will have more sickness, and then you will age faster. So if you want to live long, don't eat so much. It is exactly what doctors are saying nowadays. If you read health books, they say if you are slim, you eat, you are just like either the normal weight or slightly underweight, then you will live to a ripe old age. I have one devotee in Penang. Now I think 95 years old. She's very thin. But because she's light now, she can move about. When we are fat now, it's very difficult to move about. And for example, when you're going up the hill now, we go and service clean the water reservoir up the hill. It's a 1 hour climb up the hill. So I also notice if I'm slightly, the weight is slightly more, it's more tiring. But nowadays I'm slimmer, I can walk faster and carry weight also, and carry the bag. So the king, Pasenadi, was very grateful to the Buddha. He says the Buddha benefits him this lifetime and also future lifetimes. 3.16 at Savatthi. Then King Pasenadi of Kosala approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and sat down to one side. Then a certain man approached King Pasenadi and informed him in a whisper, "Sire, Queen Mallika has given birth to a daughter." When this was said, King Pasenadi was displeased. Then the Blessed One, having understood that King Pasenadi was displeased, on that occasion recited these verses. "A woman, O Lord of the people, Raja, may turn out better than a man. She may be wise and virtuous, a devoted wife, revering her mother-in-law. The son to whom she gives birth may become a hero, O Lord of the land. The son of such a blessed woman may even rule the realm." That's the end of the sutta. So, in the olden days, men always like to have sons instead of daughters. So when Queen Mallika gave birth to a daughter, the king was not too happy. Then the Buddha made him understand that sometimes a woman may turn out better than a man if she is wise and virtuous, etc. 3.17 at Savatthi. Sitting to one side, King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the Blessed One, "Is there, Venerable Sir, one thing which secures both kinds of good, the good pertaining to the present life and that pertaining to the future life?" And the Buddha said, "There is one thing, great king, which secures both kinds of good, the good pertaining to the present life and that pertaining to the future life. But what, Venerable Sir, is that one thing? Diligence, great king. Just as the footprints of all living beings that walk fit into the footprint of the elephant, and the elephant's footprint is declared to be their chief by reason of its size, so diligence is the one thing which secures both kinds of good, the good pertaining to the present life and that pertaining to the future life. For one who desires long life and health, beauty, heaven and noble birth, a variety of lofty delights, falling in succession, the wise praise diligence in doing deeds of merit. The wise person who is diligent secures both kinds of good, the good visible in this very life and the good of the future life. The steadfast one, by attaining the good, is called a person of wisdom." So here the Buddha is giving very good advice that there's one thing that is very important for all of us, diligence, energetic effort. Whatever we want, we have to make energetic effort, diligent to work towards it. So for example, if a person wants to be rich, wealthy in this life, he has to work very hard. And then it's one of the most important factors. And then if you want to attain spiritual success, also you have to work very hard. In some of the suttas, the Buddha mentions about those monks who are diligent to attain the deathless. They try not to sleep at night. When people are fast asleep, they are working very hard, trying to maintain the practice. So diligence is very, very important. A lot of us, we are overcome by laziness, by sloth and torpor. And this is more so if we are fat. if you eat a lot, every time after a heavy meal, we tend to be drowsy. So some people have a bad habit. Immediately after the meal, they go and sleep. And in the Dhammapada verses, the Buddha likened that person to a pig. Pig, after eating a lot, will roll in the mud and go and sleep. 3.18 at Savatthi. Sitting to one side, King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the Blessed One, "Here, Venerable Sir, while I was alone in seclusion, the following reflection arose in my mind. The Dhamma has been well expounded by the Blessed One, and that is for one with good friends, good companions, good comrades, not for one with bad friends, bad companions, bad comrades." And the Buddha said, "So it is, great king, so it is, great king. The Dhamma has been well expounded by me, and that is for one with good friends, good companions, good comrades, not for one with bad friends, bad companions, bad comrades. On one occasion, great king, I was living among the Sakyans, where there is a town of the Sakyans named Nagaraka. Then the monk Ananda approached me, paid homage to me, sat down to one side and said, 'Venerable Sir, this is half of the holy life, that is, good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship.' When this was said, great king, I told the monk Ananda, 'Not so, Ananda, not so, Ananda. This is the entire holy life, Ananda, that is, good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. When a monk has a good friend, a good companion, a good comrade, it is to be expected that he will develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. And how, Ananda, does a monk who has a good friend, good companion, a good comrade, develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path? Here, Ananda, a monk develops right view, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. He develops right intention or right thoughts, then right speech, then right action, right livelihood, right effort, right recollection, right concentration, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing in release. It is in this way, Ananda, that a monk who has a good friend, a good companion, a good comrade, develops and cultivates the Noble Eightfold Path. I stop here for a moment. Here, the Buddha is confirming that good companions are very important. The Buddha says that our friends influence us a lot. If you mix with evil friends, you will tend to follow them and practice evil habits like drinking and womanizing and gambling and all that. But if you mix with good friends, then they will bring you to a good destination. So the Buddha also said that if we live an ordinary life, then we are following the path that most people will go to, which is rebirth in the woeful plains. But we need effort to go against the stream of our tendencies. If we listen to the Dhamma, then we know what is good for us, what is not good for us, then we can guide ourselves. And here the Buddha is saying that friends are very important because they can bring us to walk the spiritual path and practice the Noble Eightfold Path. And in the description of the Noble Eightfold Path, you notice that the Buddha always starts with right view. You must always get right view, and otherwise you have not entered upon the Noble Eightfold Path. A lot of people make the mistake of going into meditation first. Go into meditation without studying the suttas, without hearing the Dhamma, and then they are practicing the last path of the Noble Eightfold Path instead of the first path, the first factor. So you have to go in that order, as stated in the suttas. And then the Buddha continued, by the following method too, Ananda, it may be understood how the entire holy life is good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship. By relying upon me as a good friend, Ananda, being subject to birth are freed from birth, being subject to aging are freed from aging, being subject to illness are freed from illness, being subject to death are freed from death, being subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair, are freed from sorrow, lamentation,